Hey everybody, welcome to another Write With Me Wednesday. This is Miriam, and today we're going to be talking about how to give your characters personality. So grab your favorite hot drink. I got pandas today. Actually, this one's cuter. Let's get started. Pandas. So first off, I feel like this is a topic that is talked about, but it's not very instructive. A lot of the time people are just, oh, you'll figure it out. It's kind of the attitude I got most of the time when I ever had anything pertaining to this subject. And a lot of that's true because you have to discover it yourself. But I want to give you some steps that will help you maybe break it down, think of it more constructively, instead of this abstract, oh, we'll just figure it out. Which, yes, happens, but it's the long way and hard way. Just like anything, with a little instruction can go a long way. So first off, be yourself. If you cannot write what you are, which is everything you have to go off of, it's like trying to read a book that has 0 words in it, that's just blank, because you have nothing to start with. If you try to create your own persona of this imaginary personality that you don't have, that you are not, it's pointless. It's frustrating and unfortunately easy to do, because we all like to personify ourselves as perfect or better than perhaps we are, or the opposite, worse than what we are. That tendency will show through in your writing, which you can use and manipulate, but don't let it manipulate you. You control your own habits, you control your own writing style, they don't control you. And that's where I think a lot of young writers and beginning writers get caught up in. They read C.S. Lewis, they read Tolkien, they read all these famous authors, and then they're like, well, now I need to be like them. No, you need to be like you. If you try to imitate someone else solely, then you may sound similar, but you'll also sound like a broken record. And as soon as you try to create something new, you're gonna get caught up, be like, oh, is this how C.S. Lewis would sound? Well, that's not the right question. How do you want to sound? That's the question. When looking at other authors, definitely take notes and observe, but don't take their words as a hard written template to success, so much so that you end up shortcutting yourself by not allowing yourself to develop and grow your own style. Secondly, experiment. Have fun. Go out there and try new things. You're not gonna know what works best for you if you don't try everything. Okay, maybe not everything, but at least experiment with a few different styles to know which one you like the best. Likely, the style that you will fit into is the one you find most entertaining yourself. For instance, if you love romance dramas, well, you might actually be really good at writing those because you can identify with them and you have passion based on that. If you're just like, Miriam, I could care less, well, that's fine. Maybe you like thrillers. Maybe you like mystery. There are a million things out there. The variation is endless. Nonetheless, you already know what you like. Start with that and see where that takes you. If you don't know what you like, search and find what you like. Chances are you know what you find entertaining. Hopefully this is pandas. Or just try experimenting and see what happens. If you have a passion for writing, if you like to write, then you already have one thing you enjoy. And that can be ground zero for taking off and finding your style. Thirdly, use discovery writing. Discovery writing means you don't have an outline, you don't have a plan, you just start going. I personally use a mixture of outlining and discovery writing. Discovery writing, when you don't have a plan, your personality is literally the only thing you have to draw from. And I believe that's the reason when you write characters and scenes, it becomes more alive and personable. And because your own personality is what's writing it and driving everything. On the flip side, there is outlining. And outlining means you have like bullet points of the sequence of events and what's gonna happen and the order beginning to end, which can be helpful too. I use that, but I don't use it to such an extent that it quells my own discovery writing. If you're observing another author and you take everything they say so meticulously and in order and want to follow the recipe, it's going to hinder you in the end because you can't discover anything. So it's finding a balance between those two that I believe is the best skill set, the best combination that's going to take you the farthest as you learn to write, as you grow. Because just like we learned with the world, when you have a world and you don't want to break the world, again, unless you do, the outline helps give you some boundaries to start with, to go off of, and then within that bubble that's not too tight, has space, that's where the discovery writing can really flourish. That's why it's so important to use both. Now, to give your writing personality and finding your writing voice and all the practicing, imagine you're talking to your best friend. Yes. Imagine you're like sitting in a coffee shop and they're sitting on the other side and you're just like, hey, this is so exciting. I can talk about this for literally hours. But you know what? Talking things out helps you think. At least it helps me think. And getting somebody else's take on it in the moment, it could be the smallest thing, but it can be the hugest thing as well in your writing. If you imagine you're talking to your best friend, you're no longer concerned about how you look. Do you have PJs on? Like, who cares anymore? All you can think about is the writing and how much you love it. And you're not even concerned about how you're presenting it anymore. All that's left is what you love. And clearing out all the cobwebs of angst and nervousness and all of that is what really allows your own personality to shine through your writing. I think it's really awesome how when you read a book, you can see the personality through the characters, but other books, it's more distinct that you can hear the own author's personality coming through. When they make a little quirky joke or something like that, occasionally I noticed, I was reading The Hobbit by Tolkien, and he would occasionally switch to first person, saying I, me. And when he would interject little things like that, it made it so cool because all of a sudden I could directly be connected and relate to the person behind the story. Just like any tale that you tell, it's going to be different from your perspective, and sometimes it's fun to interject. That is so awesome, and so long as it's not overused, can be such a highlight, little sprinkle, a little mwah on top of all your writing. You don't have to do that, but I think it's awesome. Be observant. When you write, I'm getting serious now. When you write, you're writing based off your own personality. But say you're trying to write a character, for instance, the opposite gender. I found this tough because I didn't know how a man thinks. I didn't have anything to go off of from myself. So I started observing any male in my life to see what their reactions were to certain situations, how they speak, how they would react, how they would change a situation. If it was something silly, using humor as a way of relief. These things I constantly took mental notes of as I was writing my male characters. because I knew I didn't know what I was writing about. So I did research. Research can be fun. I normally, looking up on the web how to do XYZ, I found very, very tedious. And I always hated research papers. But once I learned that research can actually be going on adventures, going to places, learning, observing, it was like mind-blowing. I don't know if that's mind-blowing to anyone else, but I was just like, light bulb. That makes so much sense. So if you don't know what you are trying to convey, because you don't have a deep enough understanding of it, because you're just not experienced in that area, do research, observe, ask questions, think about the history of things, so many things. That's going to give you the material needed to write. And when you do that, everything goes smoothly. Okay, not always, but a lot smoother than it would be if you're banging your head against a wall like we talked about earlier. Just, now, is this what a male would say? Like, writing is not a one and done thing. If you expect your first book to be perfect, newsflash, it's not going to be. But learning along the way allows you to build your skills, build the love you have for writing and the knowledge you have. So every time you do research, every time you learn something, it'll compile over time. So in the end, you'll be able to write faster, better, and longer. Building up that stamina takes time. Writing is discipline to an extent. If you love anything, then you need to put in that effort to make that thing great. Take that passion, take that love, and go off, be free, but keep working on it. Understand it's okay to make mistakes. You will make mistakes. You know, it doesn't have to be perfect. And when you're experimenting, it's okay if it blows up. But then next time, it's gonna be better and better and better. Always have a learning mindset. Keep going with that stamina. It may not be very much in the beginning. It might be 5 minutes. 5 minutes. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but it has to start somewhere. And if 5 minutes is all you can do it. Just every day or a few times a week, because every day can sometimes be exhausting. No matter how long it is, if you're doing it every single day, you're gonna get tired and maybe even lose interest. So be managing that mental energy, as I've talked about before, but be consistent. And before you know it, you'll be at an hour a day or a few times a week. Well, that could still be 4 or 5 hours that you poured into your book that week, which can get you so far. Because for me, I usually only write, it could be anywhere from 15 minutes to 2 hours. It really depends for me. But I don't keep myself at like, I must do 5 minutes, I must do an hour, and now I'm going to sit here and be a good writer and make myself do it. No, that's not gonna work out. I just start and I keep going until I'm tired. And that's what's important, because your own mental energy, just like a muscle, if you stretch it, it's gonna be a little hard, and then you rest, and then you go a little farther, and you rest, and then eventually you're all the way up here, and then people are like, how do you do this? And you're like, what? It's normal. Lastly, when you're writing using your own personality, think of a specific aspect of your own personality when creating a character. A character embodies your personality. So naturally, a piece of that personality is what embodies them. If you are, let's say, the introvert in you, and you're just like, oh, people, you know what? I just need some headphone time right now. That's awesome. Use that emotion, string it out, and take it and put it into that one character. If, for instance, in my book, in Isla's Treasure, the main character, Isla, is the warrior in me. That's who she most often personifies in me. The bodyguard, Colin, he's like the protector, he's the fighter, he's the one that wants to jump up and fix things. Same with his friend, Alec, Isla's brother. Yeah, Isla's brother. Why was that hard? I should know that. And then the last character that's the main character of that plot is Lavender. Lavender is a mute, and she can be so powerful even though she's in the background. But that's because what she embodies is the observer in me and the innocent part, the naive part, the one that just wants to help. But that is what makes her such an awesome character. A little bit of a side note, if you want to create a character that has both personality, drawing from yourself, and is likable, I can do a video on this later on. Focus on that one aspect you took from your personality and then create a limitation for that character that forces that personification, forces that element to be highlighted. For instance, Lavender is mute, like I said, but she's also highly observant. She's highly observant because she's mute, because she can't just speak to people. So she learns their behaviors before she talks with her hands. Creating that limitation makes that character clear. So there you have it. That's how you get personality in your characters. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this video... Okay, that's it. I need to show you guys what we've been working with here. I've been putting my camera on this music stand. You can't really see it. On this music stand, on top of a laundry basket. I don't have a tripod.